Hey everybody, how are you? I just wanted to jump on and talk about this concept of responsibility. So if you didn't know this already, I am doing a 10-day live challenge. I'm hoping to extend that to make it a little longer. Lindsay, how are you doing, Lindsay? I ended up talking to the friend of yours today and really building you up and making you fabulous. So FYI, I love you. Hi, Christina. Hey, Rachel. So say hi if you guys are jumping on. Let me know what's on your mind. I kind of just want to hang out tonight. I mean, I brought a topic to the table, but if you guys just want to hang out and chat and ask some questions, you're welcome to. So the main thing that I wanted to talk about was this concept of responsibility, because when I first started this journey, this spiritual journey, I was sick, and I remember somebody telling me at the time that, oh, you know, do you see the spiritual significance of this? Or do you see, you know, the silver lining or something? And I remember being really pissy. I was not happy because I was like, what? I did not do this to myself, right? I did not do this to myself. And it made me mad. It made me feel like I was low vibe, blaming myself. And the reason that I felt like I was blaming myself is because I was blaming myself. Just underneath, even though I didn't realize it, I was blaming myself for getting sick. So the more that I have done this work and followed this spiritual path, the more that I have realized that there is so much value in taking responsibility for absolutely everything that happens to us. That includes crappy situations with other people and things that can seem really traumatic to us. And this can be really controversial for a lot of people, because if we take responsibility for everything that comes into our lives, then we have the control to do something about it, right? It actually empowers us. And that's the part that I didn't understand at the time. I'm going to throw just a quick comment in the comments and just to say hello, just because sometimes the comments don't show up when you're doing a live unless you type something in. So say hi if you're here. Hey, Ashley, it's so good to see you. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this concept of responsibility in light of the things that happen to us that we don't necessarily love, right? That might piss us off, people that might piss us off, situations that we feel we've been wronged. And it's good to kind of occupy that victim mentality for a short period of time, because then what we're doing is really becoming aware of what it feels like to embody that, right? And what it feels like physically and emotionally, energetically, etc. And even in our thought patterns, cognitively. And once we get to know that pretty well, then we're able to really say, okay, this is how this feels. And we can choose to shift out of that to something else. So if you've seen, I don't have it in front of me right now, but there's a chart that shows the different frequencies of emotion. So as we know, there are frequencies to colors, right? There's frequencies in the light spectrum. So it's like an upside down triangle. If you guys Google it, you can see it, or I can post it later actually, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But basically, the more expansive emotions are at the top of this triangle, and the more high frequency colors like purple, okay, is at the top. And way at the bottom, at the point, are shame, guilt, depression, and anxiety. And those are the things that our energy gets compressed into if we don't release anger or we don't process things that are at a higher level. So what I will do sometimes is take some of my patients from this shameful or guilt-ridden or anxious or depressed state and encourage them to get pissed off, because it's actually heightening their vibe. What it does is it shows them a couple things. It shows them that they can choose to shift their vibration, which gives them control. It gives their brains a message that you are choosing to flip the script. You are choosing to do something different, and that you are not going to get dictated to by your emotions, because that puts us in a position of not being in control. And nobody likes that feeling. Now, of course, we all want to surrender to the universe and allow things to unfold and not be attached to the outcome and stuff like that. But we also do want to manage ourselves in a way that allow us to be able to get through our lives and open ourselves up enough to be able to receive whatever messages we might be getting from the universe that will guide us on our best path on our journey, right? So I would encourage you to identify kind of where you are on that spectrum. And if you're kind of down at the bottom and you're feeling kind of funky, depressed, anxious, shameful, guilty, then this is something that you can explore a little bit further, get some support in if you'd like, to raise your vibe up. And you can do that in a number of ways. You can use certain skills. There's skills in a form of therapy called DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. And when we choose to use those skills and we practice them, we are able to shift whatever it is we're feeling at the time. So one of the best ways that I like in DBT, one of the best skills, is called opposite action. So what you do is you do the opposite thing of what you're feeling you want to do or what you're being drawn to do at the time. Emotionally, not from your gut and your intuition, but emotionally. So if I'm depressed and all I want to do is lay my ass on the couch and not get up, what am I going to do instead? I'm going to get up. I don't care what you do. You can go walk outside and get your mail and come back. You can go pee and then come back. You can go get a snack. You can just stand up, wave your arms up and down and sit back down. But the point is that you are training, it's like behavioral training for your brain. You are training your brain that you have control over shifting your vibe at the time. Okay, so that's one of the most effective skills, but there's a lot of other skills in DBT that can help us just do that initial shift, because we can't necessarily go from this really agitated state right into meditation, or right into something that is really centering and calming and soothing. Because a lot of times if we have that agitated energy, we have to release a lot of the physical energy first, especially if we're dealing with anger and anxiety. We need to release it through our physical bodies, right? So Anna, you have a question. I think I first heard of this from Abraham Hicks. Just jump up one notch higher. Oh, did she say that? She has so many videos and so many audios. I've listened to so much from her. I actually listened to one the other day that was really awesome. It was about anxiety. And she was talking about how if we catch it early enough, it will have less momentum to kind of spiral forward, right, into being out of control. And she says that when we focus on an anxious thought, we are the furthest away that we can be from our inner being. Right? We're further away from our inner being, and our inner being is what is wise and what knows what's best for us. We don't always have access to that, of course. The best way to access that is to sit in stillness, to use these spiritual and energetic practices to tap into through journaling, through chanting, through meditation, like I said, through the Akashic Records. There's a lot of other modalities that you can try to use independently to access that inner self. But also, like I said, with the DBT skills, we need to use some skills to manage those emotions or our physical bodies to make space so that our container, our physical container, is more open to receive whatever messages our inner self is trying to send to us, right? So when we're in a moment of anxiety and we're focused on this anxious thought and we're distanced from our being, this thought creates resistance. And so when we have resistance, we are not allowing the full spectrum of ourselves to be seen, of our inner being to be seen. Because anytime we're in resistance, there's this level of friction, right? And when you have that friction, it's going to be harder for energy to move through you. It's going to have to like if I have friction here, almost like moving plates inside of me, how's it going to get around, right? Like, how's it going to move around that? Is it going to go up in between? I don't know. It's going to get moved. It's going to get distorted, right? And we don't want the energy to be distorted. We want it in its brilliant, authentic form, because that's coming from our inner being. That's coming from source. That's coming from the universe. It's whole. It is intelligent. It's wise, it's unconditionally loving, and that's the part of us that we want to shine through. And that's the part of us that we get conditioned to hide, to hold back, to swallow. Because, you know, when I was younger, I was too much for a lot of people. You know, I'm very animated, very loud. I would dare to say obnoxious at times, right? annoying to some people that were closest in my life, because I had a lot of energy, a lot of passionate energy. And so I learned to curb that over the years. And I think in a good way for a lot of reasons, right? To be able to just learn how to manage myself to a degree. But I think instead of learning management techniques a lot of the time, I just shut it down. I shut it off. And so in this whole process and this awakening for me, I've really been accessing and realizing a lot of that core part of myself that I love. This is energy that really fuels me and who I am. And maybe I needed to shut it down at that point in my life because I wasn't able to handle it, but now I can. And that's one of the things about trust, right? Trusting the universe, trusting that whatever we're brought at any time is brought to us because we are able to integrate it, because we are capable, because we have the resources that we can use to forward whatever is being brought to us, right? So again, another concept of responsibility. If we take responsibility in all aspects of our lives, then whatever is brought to us, we're willing and open to receive and say, okay, thank you, I can do something with that. Even if it's crappy, even if somebody hands me a plate of shit and says, here, do something with this. This is for you. You can integrate this. I'm going to be like, well, this is uncomfortable and it kind of sucks, but yeah, I know I can do something with this. What can I do with this? To transmute it into something that is productive, right? That's what my illness has taught me. That's what it's taught me, is that, you know, I can sit here and suffer and play the victim. And of course, at the beginning, I was in victim mode a little bit, maybe a lot of it at times, kind of dependent on the day. Why did this happen to me? What's going on? Blah, 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 right? What purpose does this serve? But being able to say, I mean, I can say now with full confidence, this was the biggest blessing in my life. Biggest blessing. I'm still sick at this point in time. I have a chronic illness. Is it always going to be here? I don't know. The doctors say yes. I don't know. Because for me, I really feel like it has helped me grow in ways that I don't think I would have chosen to grow otherwise, because I had an agenda, right? I had an agenda of what I wanted to accomplish, of who I wanted to be, of what success looked like for me. And now, since I've taken full responsibility for the good stuff and the bad stuff, I had a lot of anger for many years towards people in my life, people that I felt had wronged me. And, you know, now I have appreciation and gratitude for all of them and all of those situations, because they all made me who I am today. And they all helped me learn things about myself. And if they had not been positioned in my life, I would not have learned the things that I know now. So to be able to show gratitude for those kinds of things, it's a big step. It's an uncomfortable step. It felt like, you know, pulling teeth, and it felt very frustrating. I remember starting this forgiveness work with some of these old situations and people in my life, and I was pissed. I mean, I was like, no, I don't want to forgive this person. You know, they pissed me off, or they wronged me, or if they hadn't done this, I wouldn't be in this situation, or whatever. But all that was doing was eating me alive inside. All that was doing was harming me. And, you know, I didn't want the toxicity anymore. And I knew that it was eating away at me emotionally, physically, etc. So it was my responsibility to do something about it. So I went through a lot of forgiveness work with different people, different situations. And I'll tell you, it has been so freeing and so rewarding. I feel lighter. I have more energy. Right? So that's what comes from taking responsibility, is having the control to not only shift our vibration in the moment, but to say, I can look back at these people and situations and say, thank you so much for being in my life. Thank you so much for being in this energy exchange with me, so that either you or me or the space between could get shifted enough to rock me a little bit, right? I wouldn't have woken up to a lot of things if my energy had not been rocked in many different places in my life. And I even say this now, there's certain things that I will say that'll make clients or patients be like, ooh, ouch. Like, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I think I'm very good at what I do, is because I offer that compassion, but I also am very direct I'm very clear, because I don't pull punches, because I think that's a lot of the reasons why people do end up going to therapy and end up in that place, because there's been a lot of, keeping their mouth shut or walking on eggshells or playing the part, right? And not really, and keeping secrets from people in their lives that could be really good supports for them, because they're harboring resentment, or, just because they want to be private, or they're ashamed, or what have you. So I forget what I was going with this, but hello everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Say hello if you're hopping on. Please feel free to ask any questions you'd like. I'm talking about taking responsibility in your life, and the fact that the more responsibility we take, even for the bad stuff that happens to us, the more control we have over our future selves, over who we ultimately want to be. Because at the end of the day, if so-and-so makes me mad, and and I'll get to that in just a second. If so-and-so makes me mad and I let it fester inside of me, that's just eating me alive, right? And hey, Tammy, so good to see you. I was gonna call you this morning, but then I got a phone call. I promise, I really was. I had a window and I was gonna call you. So anyway, so if somebody comes at me and they are agitating me or rubbing me the wrong way or whatever, I have the choice of what to do in that situation. And for me, I'm always going to think, does this make me feel good? No, it doesn't make me feel good. So I'm going to make a decision to do something that's in alignment with who I want to be. Even if right now I'm not feeling it and I'm feeling pissed off, or I'm feeling, just at unrest, I don't want to feel that in 5 minutes. I don't want to feel that in an hour. I don't want to feel that in a day, right? I want to choose who I want to be and what I want to embody. So I'm going to choose in alignment with that. And that means that I can put my head on the pillow knowing that I showed that person grace, or that I showed that person forgiveness, or that I was patient and allowed some space for this situation between us to breathe, right? One of the things that's actually come up with my clients this week is this idea of assumptions, right? Where people just say, they get pissed off right away, or they flip out on somebody for no reason, or they flip out because that person pissed them off before they ask a question. We assume that we know these people in our lives so intimately that we know everything that they're thinking and all of their agenda and their intentions. But no matter how well we know somebody, never take for granted, how long you've known them or how close your relationship is. Always ask. Get curious. If you approach with an air of curiosity, nobody can get pissed at you, because all you're doing is just like reaching for information and showing a level of interest in who they are and what they have to say and whatever they're bringing to you at the time, whether it's energetically or with their words or what have you. So just say like, hey, like, what's that about? Or what did you mean by that? Or what's going on in your head? Or what were you thinking? Or how are you feeling right now? Or, man, what's up with that? Like, just ask. Before you flip, it takes one question. That's it, one question. All right, so Anna, I would love to hear more about your forgiveness practices, because it has been a huge part of my life right now, and I am super interested in other people's perspectives and tools. Okay, so there's 2 practices that have been the most effective for me with forgiveness. The first one, well, maybe 3. The first one is the Ho'oponopono prayer. I don't know if you've ever used that. It's really a complicated one to say. I'm trying to type it in. Ho'oponopono. I have to think about it every single time I type it. So this is an ancient Hawaiian practice. And it was used in a lot of Hawaiian communities because they were very, it takes a village based communities. So if there was ever anything wrong that existed between 2 people, even if it's like a mother and a daughter in one household, and it doesn't even impact, the larger community, everybody in that community takes responsibility. See, we're at responsibility again. Takes responsibility for whatever agitation or upheaval is occurring within the community, even if it has nothing to do with them. Oh, good. You've used that one, Anna? So I don't know how you've used it. I'll tell you how I use it. And you can tell me if this works for you or if this is how you've tried it. But what they did in this community was, let's say a mother and a daughter got into a pissing match or something. They would all gather together and they would get into a circle, and these 2 people would kind of get in the middle of the circle. And they would speak this Ho'oponopono prayer upon the situation in each of these people individually. And it's a series of 4 phrases. It's thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Now you can literally just say those over and over again in no particular order, because there's an energetic component to it that creates a deep level of healing when you cast this upon a situation, even a past situation or a person, okay? Even yourself. So you can just recite it over and over again. I remember when I did this with one particular person in my life, and it literally felt like my chest hurt. Like I was like ripping my heart out when I started it, because I was like, oh, I don't want to do this, and I fought through it, and I just kept repeating it. I'm telling you, the more that I stuck with it and just kept repeating it, I started to soften. I started to relax. Even my body, like my shoulders dropped, and I started to lighten, and I'm like, okay, this is working. But you can also do it in another way where you write it out. In fact, that's one of my favorite ways to do it, where I'll write it out very specifically, like thank you for, and I'll list why I'm thankful. Like, for instance, if I'm mad at a friend of mine or something, I can say, thank you so much for bringing this agitation in me that you're reflecting back to me, to my attention, so that I can do something with it. Thank you for placing your energy in my energy field so that I get a little rustled up and I have a greater awareness of what I might need to do in my own life, right? I'm sorry for any role that my energetic presence in your life is creating in terms of your negativity or chaos or stress or what have you. Even if I'm not doing it intentionally, please forgive me for creating an upheaval that might feel uncomfortable for you. I don't think it's a bad thing to have other people feel uncomfortable in your presence. In fact, I think it's a good thing sometimes, because we are here to trigger other people to grow. I really think that, obviously, as long as your intentions are not to maliciously harm someone, but we are here to help one another grow, to help one another expand, learn, and love. Be connected and grow together. So, so that's the please forgive me. I love you is self-explanatory. I think I did the other ones. So those are the other ways that I use it, is I'll start to write out specifics for each one. And then as I keep going, the specifics kind of fade, and then I just end up with the 4 phrases. So there's different ways. You can also write a letter to somebody with it that you either send or don't send, and then you can burn it to kind of energetically send this off in the universe to the other person. Or you can just speak it out loud, envisioning this other person. Or you can say it directly to someone. So that's one. The other one is a book, Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. Have you read this, Anna? It's radical. It's a fantastic book. Let go of anger and blame, heal relationships, find peace in any situation. So he takes you through, he also really explains energy work very well too. So if you wanted a background on that, he helps you understand that. But it's definitely got a spiritual component to it, big time, and an energetic component. So be aware of that before you read it. But it is phenomenal. He does have some radical ideas in here, and I don't agree with all of them. But for the most part, this is fantastic. He has it's called a Radical Forgiveness worksheet in the back. And he teaches you about breath work, and he very specifically guides you through steps to, you listen to it. It was well done. Yeah. Have you ever used the worksheet, Anna? Because it really does take you through deep-seated resentments, anger, blame, that it brings it to the surface and it heals it. Right? That's why I like tapping so much, EFT, emotional freedom technique, because you're releasing and acknowledging the negative stuff at the same time that you're bringing in the positive. You're bringing in the positive, and you're showing yourself those confidence building affirmations, and so you're doing both at the same time. And that's what this practice does, is it allows you to release and kind of, again, open up space to allow more to come in, so that you can, really welcome in the peace, really welcome in the love and the appreciation of whatever this situation has served on your path. Yeah, you do need to go. This is not a quick read, Anna. It's not. This is intense. I couldn't even keep up with it with my book group, to be honest with you. I was running a little behind because some stuff I just had to go back and reread just because it was so intense. Plus I like to write in my books and ask questions and answer them and really work through them. So for me, I really like the paper copy. So reach out to me if you have any questions while you're reading it. I'd love to process it with you, just because not only do I love reading and it makes me very happy, but you know, I just think it's a deeper level of practice that I think it can be helpful to have some support. And I was really glad to process this book with a group of other women who were going through the same things, because you know, some resentments are just so freaking deep, you know, and you can't just untangle them by saying, oh, I forgive you, let's move on, here, I'll buy you an ice cream cone, right? So that's for really the chronic stuff. You know, you can use Ho'oponopono in any situation, but radical forgiveness is really for, you know, that's really what I work with primarily, is people who are dealing with chronic stuff like negativity, depression, anxiety, illness, pain. So that's what I found as a therapist, is that a lot of the therapeutic techniques just don't go deep enough. And that's why I like to combine the two, of the energetic work, the spiritual work, and the therapeutic work. I put energetic and spiritual in one bucket. It didn't count wrong, if you caught me on that one, when I said I combined the two and then I said three things. Because the therapy really does help with giving you the skills to manage and giving you the supportive space to do some of that work, so that you feel comfortable being, I guess, welcoming and receiving enough to allow the energy and the spiritual work to do its thing, which is really in the background, in the subconscious mind, in our cells, and in our energy body, which is external to us. It's kind of in an aura around our bodies. So let me know if you guys have any other questions about this concept of responsibility, you know, and just taking responsibility for everything that happens in our lives. You know, one of my practices that I often put into play when I'm putting my daughter to bed, because she's a fighter, is repeating Ho'oponopono over and over and over again. Because that's me taking responsibility for, you know, she is this way, why? It could just be because she's 4 and she's just being a pain in the ass, but I really don't see it that way. I see it as she's feisty, she's bold, and she has a lot of passion within her. And so do I, right? So I think that it's me being in her energetic field when she was younger versus now versus when she's 10 and when she's 20 is going to create a ripple effect within her energetic field. It's going to create some level of feedback for me, right? And that's how I want you guys to see this, is that when we are presented with anything, positive, negative, neutral, anytime we're presented with any kind of stimulus, emotional, energetic, physical, cognitive, it is creating a ripple effect in our energy field, because anything that comes into our space is for us to manage in some way, shape, or form. And if you have that mindset, you will feel more in control, you will feel calmer and more centered, because you know this does not rock who I am at the core. It's simply creating a ripple in my energy field that if I know how to clear, I can prevent from becoming a negative emotion. I don't have to get pissy with this person. Can prevent it from becoming a dense physical energy that presents as pain or presents as illness or something like that. So I know some of this might seem outlandish to some of you, and I'm more than happy to field any questions that come up from this discussion, but I'm very happy to have you join me. Thank you so much. And if you guys want more tools for healing or more conversations like this, you're welcome to join my free group, Room for Healing. And it's a Facebook group with a lot of women who are really coming together to expand and grow and deal with healing anything chronic that's coming to them, whether it's negativity, illness, pain, anxiety, or depression. And it's a very safe space, and there's a lot of really awesome momentum going on in that group. We just did a meditation challenge that actually ended today, and we're starting a gratitude challenge that's really quick and easy for this week for the holiday. And it's fun. it's safe, it's comfortable, and that's where I really post most of my content. And it's just a little bit more of an intimate opportunity to be able to share and get feedback on any thoughts or questions that might come to your mind. And you're also welcome to, of course, access private conversations with me through Messenger or through email. My website is theakashictherapist.com, and I will type that in here if you don't know how to spell that. So anyway, if there are no other questions, I really appreciate you joining me tonight. I hope you guys have a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'm sending you all lots of love. All right, take care. Bye.